Episode 2 of Asia is called Above the Clouds, and it's about the mountains of Asia. So this episode opens up with Mount Everest. I mean, that's the tallest mountain in the world, so it's probably the best place to start with regards to Asian mountains. We get some great shots of Mount Everest before we pivot to the mountains of Southeast Asia, which are a lot more lush. What I liked about this episode is it doesn't just show you the Himalayas, and by that I mean it doesn't just show you barren, massively tall mountains. It shows you that there's a lot more variety with mountains in Asia. They're not all like that. Some of them are in the forests, some of them are in the deserts. There's a lot of variety there. So in the Southeast Asian caves, we see swifts. So this sequence is something that I, to be honest with you, had very little anticipation for. I knew it was going to be the swifts in the caves, which I've seen before in various documentaries. So I was like, I've seen this before, but it'll be fine. What I didn't expect was to see the swifts fighting and then land in the water. We see that when the swifts land in the water, obviously their feathers are wet, so they can't fly as well, which creates issues when taken off. But that's not their only issue. They also have to face catfish. This was a great sequence, so this was something I didn't expect to see. I didn't know this happened. What I thought worked really well with this sequence is that we never really get a good look at the catfish, which makes them seem scarier, I think. It makes them seem like a really sinister presence in the water. I was on the edge of my seat with that one swift when there was loads of catfish in the water and it just manages to get away. Great stuff. Really like that. It was a really good way of opening the episode, and to be honest, it's probably my favourite part of the episode. Considering I had no anticipation for this sequence, it really pleasantly surprised me, so that was really cool. Then we go to Thailand, where we see pitcher plants. Obviously, we know that pitcher plants attract insects. What we didn't know was that they attract tree shrews as well. So the tree shrews basically turn up and shit in them. They obviously give the plant nutrients, whilst also getting to feed from the plant. It works both ways. I think I saw that in Our Planet, but this is the first BBC series to deal with that, so that was interesting. Then we go to the Ghat in India, where we see Asian elephants. So compared to African elephants, we don't really see Asian elephants that often, which I think is kind of weird. And we see them going through a tea plantation, which makes you think, okay, we're going to get some human-elephant conflict. Not so. They don't actually eat the tea. In actual fact, they eat the weeds that grow there, so the people aren't too bothered with them being there. And we see that they actually cross roads and they go into the upper reaches of the mountains, which is not a habitat you'd expect elephants to go into, but it seems to work for them pretty well, because this is the largest population of Asian elephants anywhere in the world. So, completely unexpected, didn't know about that. I thought that was really interesting because it subverted my expectations. I was expecting to get a bit of an environmental thing there. We didn't. It was just really interesting, so yeah, I really liked that as well. Then we go to the Arabian Peninsula, where we see everything's dry, everything's pretty arid, nothing really lives there. But every now and again when the rains come, it becomes this really lush, beautiful place. It was quite cool seeing dromedary camels there though, especially when it's not arid. I think that was quite interesting. You don't usually see camels anywhere apart from the desert really. So that was interesting to see. Then we start to move away from the nice lush mountains that we're seeing here to the ones we're more familiar with, i.e. the Himalayas. We go to the Hindu Kush, I believe it's called, kind of in the India, Pakistan kind of region. And here we see Markhor. So the Markhor are basically trying to attract mates. They're fighting. We see they did this weird tongue thing that kind of flirts with them. I can't tell you where my mind went when I saw that, but if your mind is as in the gutter as mine, then you'll probably imagine. We also see them fighting. So this is something I feel like I'd seen before, but I don't think I actually have. Markhor actually are very impressive. We only ever see them getting hunted by snow leopards normally, so seeing them fighting was really cool because their horns are massive. They are enormous. They're like a metre long, and I thought the fighting was really cool as well. You felt the power every time they knocked each other, and it has a nice little funny ending where the male gets a female and it's like, oh, this is what success looks like. Quite funny stuff, and I like that. Then we see the red panda. So red pandas are an animal that we don't see too often. We all know what they are, we all know what they look like, but we don't really know that much about them. So it was actually kind of nice to see them, and we basically see this one female, she's just going to get some food, she eats some fruit, she's asleep. It's not particularly amazing footage or anything, but it was nice to see red pandas, because I just don't think we see them very often, so that was nice. Then we see the Yunnan snub-nosed monkey, which is found in China, and to be honest with you, I think since Seven Worlds One Planet came out, and we saw the golden snub-nosed monkeys, we've seen them quite a lot, and to be honest, it's never that amazing for me. It's fine, we're seeing them playing in the snow, huddling for warmth, the young watching the adults jump through the trees and then try to mimic their behaviour. It's fine, it's by no means the highlight of the episode for me. Then we go to a sequence that I was actually really looking forward to, which was the Tibetan fox. So the Tibetan plateau sequence in Planet Earth is one of my favourite parts of that series, and I like how we got a lot of time with the Tibetan fox. We get a more in-depth look at them, because in Planet Earth they're kind of portrayed a little bit funny. We just talk about how they look a bit stupid, and this we very much focus on a mother trying to feed her cubs, and she's hunting pikas, which we did see in Planet Earth. However, what we didn't see was the fact that she's got to deal with all these yaks. So this in a way kind of shattered my illusion from that series, whereby I kind of thought it was this really weird place that's so far away, all this stuff's so strange, we don't really know what's going on there. It turns out it's actually pretty populated, there's loads of yaks there, so that was a little bit disheartening, but it was interesting seeing her use the yaks to her advantage. She uses the yaks as cover to get to the pikas, so that was really cool. I really liked that sequence. I think I was going into that looking forward to it because I thought the Tibetan foxes were funny in Planet Earth. What I came out of that sequence thinking was that this is actually a really interesting story. Then we start to talk about the environmental stuff. We talk about how the mountains in Asia have all this water, and because temperatures are rising, it's basically drying out, and there's all these villages and towns that were basically dependent on all this meltwater, and it isn't there anymore, so they're really struggling. That was really interesting. And we kind of cut back to the snow leopards. I don't think there was any doubt we weren't going to end this episode with snow leopards, but there, lo and behold, we do. And every time we see snow leopards, I'm always like, okay, we've probably seen it all. I mean, we've had some pretty in-depth look at snow leopards, whether it be Planet Earth or Planet Earth 2 in particular. So every time I'm like, okay, I've seen this before. But every time I'm always like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm always given a little surprise. Here we see snow leopards mating. We see this one snow leopard basically follow the female, and they kind of court each other and they mate. It's a lot nicer than the one we got in Planet Earth 2. I don't think any parents are going to complain about the nature of the scene in this series anyway, put it that way. It's a nice way to end the episode, because snow leopards are an animal we all like, and while we see them a lot, we are always given something new to look at, so I think that's quite cool. So yeah, I like that as well. Then the diaries is all about the people filming the Tibetan fox, which I liked. I'm glad that's a sequence we focused on. And this was a lot better than the one last week. I was really invested in the people filming it. I like how the guy had a relationship with the fox, like he'd followed it for several years already, and seeing all the challenges they faced, whether it was heating yak dung to keep them warm, or facing electrical storms and snow. So when they got the shots at the end, it felt like they'd earned it. That was really cool as well. I really liked that. So yeah, this episode is pretty good. It's better than last episode. I don't think it's, top tier wildlife documentary episodes, but it's still pretty good. My highlights were the swifts at the start. I really liked the Tibetan fox, the elephants as well. So let me know what your thoughts were in the comments below. What were your highlights? What bits did you like? Did you agree with me? Let me know. I'll be doing the next episode next week, which I believe is the Frozen North. And as ever, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, or don't if you don't want to. It's perfectly fine. I will survive. And yeah, I'll see you next week, and goodbye.